Ikara. So, first map, starting map is going to be Daybreak. That is basically a mutual map for both players. There in the lobby, we are getting into it, guys. Best of 7, STC against Ragnarok. Here we go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to yet another Best of 7 Heart of the Swarm series. My name is Promise from Clarity Gaming. I will be your caster throughout this whole series. If you guys have not checked out any of the previous games, make sure you get on that. I casted a Best of 7 last week. It was between LGIMRagnaroK, who is of course a Protoss player, a HotS champion, and he played against Marine King Prime. So these players, they seem like, you know, you would think they are ridiculously hard to get, to be able to contact, to get these matches going, but it's very simple. They're doing this for the community. It's not like they're winning thousands of dollars. Of course, that would be amazing. I mean, if I was a player and got invited to a show match, I would love to hear from the organizer that they're having, you know, $5,000 prize pools, but that's not the case here. This is actually just for the community. It's a beta. People are still, you know, figuring out how the game's working. So let's go ahead and introduce our players for tonight's Best of 7. We're going to have in the bottom left spot, spawning in as our red Zerg player for the team LGIM. It is going to be our red Zerg player. It is Ragnarok. And of course, his opponent in the upper right side, spawning in as our blue Terran player from Complexity Gaming, formerly of Quantic, immediately getting picked up by a team. So happy to see this guy playing Heart of the Swarm. It is going to be our blue Terran, coLTheStC. Alright, so nice little Terran versus Zerg here on the map Daybreak. Daybreak is a pretty kind of a map that's been accepted by every race, to be honest. I mean, some can say that this is a little bit favored for Zerg just because it's very easy to be able to take third expansions. The fourth expansion, of course, which is located in this area, can be a little bit problematic. But, I mean, we'll see what strategy we're going to be seeing from both players. Looks like Ragnarok so far, just a little bit of harassment, but let's talk a little bit about the build orders. We are seeing a 15 hatch for Ragnarok, followed by a gas. So he is not going into pool before any kind of gas, and I'm going to come back to this in just 1 second. So STC so far, though, going to go into, looks like it's going to be a command center first, build out the natural expansion, so he's feeling rather comfortable not building it in his main base, just going straight up to the natural. Ragnarok's going to scout it, still being a little bit annoying here with the drone. STC, of course, going to be on top of it. Barracks is going to be the follow-up, and still, actually, it's going to be 1 gas as well for the STC, so we'll see what tech it's going to be, but I want to talk about what Ragnarok is doing right now. He is going gas before pool, and look how much he's delaying this pool. He's getting the pool at 17 supply. So this build order, man, 3 hatch gas into pretty late spawning pool. This is kind of cool from Ragnarok. You know, Hellbats have been very, very popular in Heart of the Swarm. Hellbat drops, Hellion drops, of course, the Widowmine, which is kind of a siege unit that Terrans have been using very offensively, as well as a little bit offensively as well. But now, tech-wise, for the STC, we're going to be seeing a factory come down. I'm really going to be looking if it's going to be it's probably going to be a reactor, but is it going to be Widowmines, or is it going to be maybe some sort of a quick Hellbat drop? Those are going to be the questions we want to ask ourselves. Meanwhile, the pool right now for Ragnarok, very close to completing this build. Rather risky, but because he scouted the CC first, Ragnarok should feel pretty damn comfortable for going for this very, very quick third hatch. We're going to see 4 lings in the production tab. We're also seeing the metabolic boost in production, just to give himself a little bit of map control. STC still scouting a little bit here with these SCVs, confirming that, you know, if his opponent has the watchtowers, he's maybe going for a proxy hatch, which is, of course, not the case, but always cool to see STC kind of be on top of his scouting. Now we're going to see STC right now going to throw down a bunker. I love this positioning with the bunker a little bit, you know, in case of any kind of Baneling bust. It's going to be helpful. You know, SimCity in Heart of the Swarm is even more important with bunkers, with swarm hosts, of course, with positioning, things like that have become very, very used and very kind of stressed in this game. But now we're going to see a barracks follow-up. We're also going to be seeing a second factory. This looks like it's looking to be some sort of Blue Flame Hellion double factory already. 1 reactor. We're going to see 2 Hellions in the production tab for the STC. Meanwhile, Ragnarok right now just droning, getting his economy going up to 35 drones, getting a Baneling Nest. His metabolic boost is very much near completion. And what is he going to do with this Baneling Nest? You know, he can... This is cool because he can be, you know, a little bit, you know, if his opponent's going for any kind of bio push, which is really not used a lot in Heart of the Swarm. Of course, if you're going to be going bio, a lot of players like to go Hellbat, Marine Marauder with a medevac. Some, you know, maybe hit like an 11, 12-minute timing off of 2 base. But we're going to see STC do a little bit of kind of scouting, trying to harass a little bit. He was going to go ahead and see a Spine Crawler already in position for Ragnarok. Baneling Nest is done. We're going to see more Lings in production right now. So Ragnarok has a feeling... you know, this is kind of the moment where Zerg players are a little bit worried. Is it Hellbats? Is it a Marine Marauder push? Let me get my Baneling Nest. Of course, Roaches, again, are another fantastic option that Zerg players have been using a lot more against Terran in the early stages of the game. Now, 66 supply for the STC, 68 for Ragnarok. STC still just going to scout a little bit here with these Hellions. Follow up. It's actually not going to be a tech lab, so he's just going to add on another reactor onto this factory. So a lot of Hellions going to be produced here for the STC, and Ragnarok has to scout this out. I'm feeling a little bit worried. Okay, never mind. Ragnarok going up to this Roach Warren, getting his double evolution chambers, getting some more Lings, getting some Banelings as well to be defensive against any kind of incoming pressure or timing attack from the STC. But all of a sudden, we're going to see 12 Hellions. Armory is completed. There is the Hellbats. Ragnarok needs that Roach Warren as soon as possible. Look how quick the Spine Crawler is going to die, guys. And all Ragnarok has right now is 17 Zerglings. Banelings are going to be able to explode. Not going to be enough, though. Banelings and Lings are going to come in from the back. Ragnarok is going to control this beautifully. He's going to eliminate every single Hellion. Great control there by Ragnarok. STC, double factory reactor, trying to just go in with his Hellbats, man. But Lings and Banelings, I guess, can be pretty good, but you really need to have them in high numbers to be able to deal with these Hellbats. Another little push here from the STC. Can move towards a natural 4 Hellions now for the STC. Going to be able to roast a little bit more of these Zerglings, but overall, great defense by Ragnarok. Now we're going to see him up to 83 supply to 68. The STC will be able to take that 3rd expansion at a pretty good time. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was kind of banking to do a little bit of damage with that, with the early Hellbat harass. But not a big deal. He's going to go up to Starport. We're going to see medevacs on the map rather soon. Still being a little bit aggressive here, the STC. That's his style, man. This is what he likes to do in Terran versus Zerg. He is so creative. He is so multitask-oriented. He can actually just... A lesser Zerg player can lose to the multitasking of the STC, but Ragnarok doing, again, a really good job. STC does not want to get these Hellions surrounded. Great control by him. And Starport is almost completed, so we're most likely going to be seeing medevacs out of the STC. Also getting another factory. Wow, a lot of factories. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 factories for the STC. This is going to be absolutely heavy mech play from our Korean Terran. And 2 factory play with some with a tech lab. He's going to make some siege tanks. So far, the composition for him, it looks like it's going to be mainly Hellbats, siege tanks, and now we're going to see maybe even a few Vikings. Maybe that Viking's just going to go ahead and clear out some Overlords around the map. But economy-wise, if we look at that, 73 drones for Ragnarok, 56 SCVs for the STC. Production, we're seeing another hatchery coming up. So a lot of minerals remaining. Very smart for Ragnarok to go ahead and get another macro hatch. A little bit of a Ling counterattack here towards the 3rd expansion of the STC. No units at all, no bunker. He's going to lose a little bit. 140 supply now to 103. All he has is these Hellions. And of course, this is a little bit annoying from Ragnarok, but as long as the STC can kind of just clean this up with the Hellions, of course, Lings are not the best against Hellions, but now we're going to see some Roaches do a little bit of damage against these. Now we're going to see that Hellbat transformation mode for the STC. Easily going to be able to eliminate these Roaches. Now these siege tanks are just going to hammer away, so great defense once again, and now Ragnarok's going to take another expansion, getting some more Roaches in the production tab. If we look at the upgrades really quickly, if I can grab one of the Roaches. So +1 Carapace already completed. STC already has his +1 weapons, of course, for his mech army. More siege tanks in the production tab. We're seeing Goliath Reconstitution, Roach Speed, plus more, a whole bunch more upgrades, and even the Ventral Sax is in the production tab for Ragnarok. So he's just been relying a lot on Roaches. And that's what a lot of Zergs have been doing in Heart of the Swarm. They just make a lot of Roaches, to be able to deal with mostly mech, and then if they can buy themselves enough time to go ahead and go up to Hive, go up to possibly Ultralisks, and those Vipers, man. Vipers are great against Terran, but it looks like a little bit of a mistake here from the STC. Going to lose a lot of these Hellions. Oh my god, one Hellion is going to be able to go back home, but lost like 5 in that engagement. So Ragnarok still very, very map aware. 185 supply now, +1 attack almost completing. How many roaches does this guy have? 33 roaches and 5 banelings. So his army composition slowly but surely getting very big. We're still having this Viking up to 2 kills, being just looking around for these overlords. 3 kills now. Might even get a 4th kill with this overlord, but Ragnarok is not having it, man. He's getting ready to possibly gear up for a 3rd expansion. Now, this thing with the thing with mech is the STC needs to buy himself enough time to get this army composition of siege tanks, Hellbats, and even some Terrans like to mix in Thors in the later stages of the game. But we're going to see a little bit of medevac abuse, of course, that Superman speed, I like to call it. It's, of course, the Ignite Afterburn is going to drop into the main base. 4 Hellbats are loaded into these 2 medevacs. Ragnarok immediately will respond, sending away these drones. So great reaction time. Of course, he did scout it with the roaches. So, you know, when you scout these kinds of things, you're not going to do too much damage. But now we're going to see the 4 Hellbats drop into the natural. Lings are going to be there in time. STC going to be able to kill a few more Lings and drones, up to 6 Harvester kills for the STC. And now he's going to start to position himself in the center of the map. This is such smart positional play by the STC, forcing these roaches to run back to the natural. Now he is going to have the map control with these siege tanks and these Hellbats, but it looks like Ragnarok going to try to swing around, but at the same time in the 3rd, now we're going to see some more Hellbats drop. Going to be able to eliminate a few more drones, up to 9, so 3 more drone kills there for the STC. But now Ragnarok's going to try to set up some sort of a flank. These siege tanks are completely vulnerable. 1 tank's going to fall down. STC, meanwhile, is just pushing through the center of the map with a great timing right before the Hive. Hive is just halfway completed for the Ragnarok. 174 supply to 198. These Hellbats will be able to clean up these the majority of these spine crawlers, and Ragnarok needs to push this as soon as possible. He is going to load up the roaches into these overlords, and the STC, is he going to be prepared for this? He does not have a lot of actual Hellbats to really deal with this. These siege tanks, of course, do splash damage. But all of a sudden, all these roaches are going to drop right on top of these siege tanks. That is so many roaches, and all these siege tanks are going to fall. The majority of them are going to fall, but more reinforcements coming in from the STC. But great use of the Overlord drop ability here by Ragnarok, eliminating more siege tanks. Great defense, now up to 172 supply to 123. We'll be able to clean up these 2 remaining siege tanks, and now we're seeing another expansion being taken for the STC. But the problem is this mech force takes a very long time to make again. I mean, it's 16 minutes in is when STC was deciding to go for a push. Now he's still making more medevacs, more siege tanks. Ragnarok's now going to have map control, making Hydralisks, Vipers, of course, which have the abduct ability, as well as the blinding cloud, which is fantastic against siege tanks. STC now falling to 126 supply, 196 supply for Ragnarok. He is just continuing to push forward, still making more units in the production tab. His upgrades, 2-1. STC, what units does he have on the map right now? 4 siege tanks, 2 marines, and a medevac. It's unfortunately not going to be enough for him to be able to deal with these roaches and soon to be hydras. But Ragnarok's kind of playing this smart. He's not, you know, he's not rallying a whole bunch of units across the map and just sending it. He's kind of killing what he can, forcing the STC to lose some siege tanks, a few Hellbats, and then possibly going to go for another push. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. Just going to gather up with the Hydras, get these roaches. Of course, he used the consume ability on the hatchery to get itself a little bit more energy. And here comes that push. Is the STC going to have enough? Blinding Cloud on the Planetary Fortress, which works amazingly. He's going to try to repair, but the roaches are going to focus it down. Hellbats are coming in from the natural. Ragnarok is going to be able to... Is he going to kill this Planetary Fortress? Oh my god. That's going to be so close. It's down in the red. He wants to kill this, and it looks like he will be able to succeed, and in fact kills the Planetary Fortress. The STC has a few siege tanks leaped here towards a natural expansion, but Ragnarok throwing additional blinding clouds onto these siege tanks, continuing to run forward. More Hydras. Ultralisk is going to be the transition here for Ragnarok, but STC might be losing an expansion or two, but he is defending very, very nicely. Huge props to the STC for holding off this push by Ragnarok. Even going to burrow a few Widow Mines. Of course, you're going to need detection to be able to scout and to basically detect the burrowed Widow Mines. Of course, that's in the form of the Overseer. But Ragnarok, I mean, he's on 4 base. He's going to be on 5 base. Hive is completed. And when his hive's completed, he can, you know, it's going to be Ultralisks. So this transition is really good by Ragnarok. And we're seeing this a lot more in Zerg versus Terran. Hydra Roach into Ultra. Ling, sometimes you see Infestors with Vipers. But the Viper Ultra composition is just ridiculously strong. But Ragnarok, is he even going to let it get to that stage? Moving towards the 3rd expansion, STC 136 supply going to force a liftoff on that command center. Really good aggression here by Ragnarok, and just, I mean, he's just denying mining for a very long time. We're going to see a Planetary Fortress try to come up here for the STC. Ragnarok really abusing the Roach Hydra composition right now against the STC. And that's, again, I mean, I can talk about this for days, guys. Mech takes forever, but Ragnarok just pushing forward. These Hellbats are going to do a lot of damage. The Siege Tanks are going to be able to do the splash damage as well. STC kind of going to even up the supply here, but the Roaches and Hydras still very much an answer. The STC falling now to 116 supply. Look at these Vipers in the air. They don't even care where they're going to throw these Blinding Clouds. They just want to use that ability. He's definitely been using it very well. GG is thrown out by the STC. Ragnarok going to take game number 1 in this best of 7 series. Very, very well played by our Koreans.